Welcome to the world of Warcraft.
Today we're going to break down our latest BRD run. We had a level 48 healer for this run, and our typical stealth squad of 3 rogues, and myself as the druid. I'll be breaking down most of these pulls. After this first one here, it's pretty obvious. The 2 dwarves here, you just don't want to run past them too much and aggro the dogs that patrol through here. But Jaxil will be marking. He's been wanting to practice, and so I've been helping him with his marking and who to prioritize. So we won't be taking the shortcut to the left, but let's pause here before I start pulling, and we'll take a look at this room. As you can see, we have a couple of dwarves in the foreground that we'll be pulling. Over here and over here are some dogs that they patrol through here. They come around and they can see through stealth. Now in Turtle WoW, they don't have the little eye above them like they do in Classic or Retail to let you know that they are stealth detectors, but they have a heightened sense of stealth detection, so you have to be careful. Let's go ahead and take a look at how we pull this and notice the marks as we go. Jaxil does a pretty solid job, but every now and then I will be pulling ahead of him as opportunity presents itself. Here we go. I'm waiting for Jaxil to mark some mobs to pull. There we go. Now you'll notice the dogs coming in to our right there. Just have to be really careful in this room, and unless you're severely geared, just don't go too fast. There's really no need to rush through this room. And you'll notice I go grab all these dogs. One cool little trick though that I noticed here is you see these 2 dogs here. These 2 dogs don't come with these. And what you don't see is over here one of the rogues has distracted them. And I'm not sure exactly why. All I can see is the results, but only the 4 dogs right in front of myself here actually pull onto us. And it wasn't even the distract, it looked like they just kept going even though we aggroed that one. The distract wasn't until after, so quite interesting. We go ahead and take these dogs out. We're going to move to this next group of dogs. I'm gonna take the one on the left, base pull him. Sam gets some aggro, get it off her. The rogues quickly dispatch the remaining dogs, and we move on. So without having to show you the rest of this room and respecting everyone's time, we are going to advance to the next area that I'd like to talk about. So one moment, I will pause this and we will move on. Okay, now we are going to pull the group to the right here to make sure that they don't aggro onto Sam. When I can, I do use Starfall into Moonfire, and you'll notice I did not shapeshift at the right time, knowing that these guys net the Anvil Rage Wardens will throw a net on you at the beginning of the fight. Should have waited until they netted me to transform into bear, since the druid transforming will get rid of the movement impairing effects, including the net. So sometimes you'll see me remember and other times you will not. But clearing these 2 side groups with a low level in your party makes it much safer. Otherwise you can kind of sneak around a little bit more. Obviously not just talking about rogues, but pretty much any 60. You'll see right there we did that properly. We transformed after the net hit us. But pretty much any 60 group could have avoided this group and not had to pull them and saved a little bit of time. But we're also here for some XP for Sam, as well as some loot. And you'll see that black diamonds just keep dropping. all run. And we're going to clear this other group to our left. Now you notice I make a mistake here. Let me point that out real quick. So as I go to pull this group, Jaxil is going to come in here and try to sap. I believe he tries to sap this one. I think he marks this one for a sap as well. But these dogs will pull, if we could get those 2 saps. That'd be ideal, right? 2 saps, and then 2 mobs at once, and then we just take 1 sap at a time. However, that doesn't happen. He ends up going to sap this one, and you'll notice the group behind him is coming, and instead of waiting, I let them come up all the way up into here, and then I moonfire. So we end up getting everything. Thankfully, we are high enough level and able to do this. We're able to keep the mobs off Sam, but I just wanted to show you this pull until we start moving down this hallway and get to the boss, because it can be quite tricky with that patrol. Something to be aware of. Here we go. And notice, oh, he marked that one to kill and the other one to sap. Okay, so he goes and saps the moon. He gets aggro. Thankfully, my moonfire was evaded, so I didn't end up pulling everything. So he does a great job there. He goes to resap. Excellent. And then I just pull the group. Not the worst, although getting netted like that is a pain, because if Sam was to get aggro right now, I would either have to shapeshift back and forth or hope that she faded in time, which Sam is very good at fading. Lots of practice. Yeah, thanks to Swipe and them focusing the hounds first, which I would always recommend because they do a lot more damage. They almost do elite amounts of damage, and they're regular mobs, so you can actually take them out real quick. There we go, we got our moonfire going. Pulling him back. And let's go to the next pull real quick, we'll fast forward. And we're back, getting ready to pull this next group. The first one in the long hallway here, in the first room. Got our saps down. Triangle and square. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, we got a couple extras. Not a huge deal. We're able to take them out. No problem. If you go to face pull this room and you're a lower level tank, sometimes you can grab the mobs unintentionally up here. See those guys back up there. Sometimes you can get them, and then it's can be a wipe. You know, I mean, if you're a lower level group going in here for the Inquisitor and her loot, it can be a little bit tricky. Crowd control is definitely important in Blackrock Depths, as most classic dungeons. We're able to pull these hounds away from that group. You'll notice how close they were, but thankfully we pulled the one furthest away to make sure that they did not aggro. In this group, since it's full of hounds, let me pause this real quick to demonstrate. Since they are full of dogs, you have all these dogs here. They will see the rogues, even if they try to sneak up on the sides. Nearly impossible. I think you'll see Jax come up here on the left and try, but he'll get spotted. He'll have to vanish here. These mobs will see him. It's just more of a pain to try to CC these two in the back. It's much easier to just, you know, for myself to either even face pull, which I would recommend pulling from over here if you're going to do a face pull. But if you just want to do a ranged pull, where these double arrows are, you just run up to about there, hit those mobs, bring them back to yourself, and kill them. Go ahead and take a look at what we did. There we are, there's the failed sap. Another detection this time. It wasn't even an attempt at a sap. Both of those were detections rather than failed sap, so I just decided, you know what, we're just going to face pull. I make sure I'm out of line of sight of the mobs in the hallway down there. Gonna take these guys out. You'll notice I have the sound muted because we were at Discord having a conversation and somebody forgot to adjust their input to game sound only. Hopefully you don't mind the Warcraft 1, 2, and 3 music that I use in the background instead. We waited for the net properly this time. I definitely recommend getting those patrols before you pull the side rooms. We'll go over those side rooms real quick. After this, you can see me checking out both side rooms. It's pretty safe for a 60 to stand in the hallway here as long as those patrols are gone. Jack Seal's marking, I'm making sure that I have the right target targeted and wait for those saps to go down before our before our starfire hits. As it got later in this dungeon, I started using Moonfire just for the expediency. Then we start pulling them out one at a time. Could have also just fought them in there, but what I didn't want was... Pause this. You'll see Samandra here. We'll use our Vanishing Pen once again. If she were to run over here, my fear is that the mobs in this room would aggro, and then we'd end up with 4 uncontrolled mobs, plus anybody in here whose sap breaks or I pulled while she was pulling those other mobs. So it's much better to keep your low-level healer back here and just pull them one at a time. It is slower in some aspects, but it's faster than running from the graveyard, in my opinion. Here we go. Take them out. And once we're done with this room, I will skip ahead to the boss and show you a trick in Turtle WoW you can use on this boss that you could not in Classic because of how the mobs are tethered. Alright, let's fast forward to that boss. Alright, here we are, right as I'm about to pull. Quick annotations here. In regular Classic WoW, this group would pull with the boss and this other mob. But in Turtle WoW, they are not linked. So what I recommend doing, sapping or crowd controlling this mob, and then just focusing the boss down. This group will not pull. Don't worry about them. It's only these two, and this is the kill order, number 1 and number 2, that I recommend. Let's go ahead and see how we handled that. Go ahead and pull that High Inquisitor, and we'll take her out right up here. Not a long fight, only about 9,500 health, 3 rogues and druid tank, piece of cake. Didn't even need a heal. Unfortunately, the loot was not what we were after, but that's why I'm an enchanter, so we can DE these items. And you'll also notice that we forgot completely about this mob that's sapped, so we run back down the hall and they end up chasing us down and attacking us later. So don't forget about your saps. I recommend you follow what I say, not what I'm always doing. So let's go ahead and fast forward to the arena and the next polls leading to the arena. See you in one moment. Alright, right before the arena here, we've got our patrolling group of dogs and another mob. We have 3 dogs and 2 humanoids, and I believe a fire elemental? It's either 2 humanoids and a fire elemental, or 1 fire elemental and a humanoid. We'll see in a second. I definitely recommend waiting for these dogs to get far enough away from that group so that you can pull them out and take them out. Here we go. We take them out pretty quick. We'll move on to the next group. And in the next group, it looks like you can CC. We'll see if the rogues try to. I don't recall if they're able to, but the dogs are so close. And there's no fire elemental. It is just the 2 humanoids. You see, we get the 1 sap down. And then I just go ahead and try to grab everything off the rogues. If it's just 1 dog on the rogues, I'll leave it. They should be able to handle that. It's more important that I handle the elite or any mobs on the healer. this down. Finish off that last footman. Then we'll be ready for the boss here. Then we'll get to the arena. Fast forward to the boss. And here he comes. We're gonna wait for him to get far enough away from that pack in the back there, moonfire him, and just tank and spank. He has a little more health, and his AoE stun is quite annoying. As a level 60 druid, there's an extremely good chance you could solo this guy. He's got a great idol, and you'll see it drop here, that every druid should have in Turtle or Classic WoW. Oh, it was another run that he dropped that in. I apologize. These are the Paladin healing shoulders, but he does drop an idol. I'll try and have that on the screen here for you. The idol is great for feral druids in general, kitties in particular. So let's fast forward to our arena and what we got there, and what to watch for in Turtle WoW versus Classic. Alright, so we've got the event started. See down below where the Houndmaster boss is. One thing you might notice about Turtle WoW, well, you will notice, is that the mobs that spawn here from this gate do not show up until they are out of the gate. They are literally invisible until they are at or out of the gate. So you cannot see them in advance like you could in Retail Classic. There they are right there. Thankfully this time we only got non-elites first. Previous run we had elites for both groups. This one non-elite group goes down, and then we'll take out the elite group that spawns after. Thankfully they only are showing up one or two at a time. Able to handle that pretty well. Field repair bot definitely helps out. Make sure we get poisons removed from Sam and myself while we wait for that dwarf to summon the next boss, sentence us to our fate. Bag management. Apologize for the messy bags. Jack's Eel, I-E-L, requested I adjust my mana potions later on, so those will get cleaned up, I promise you. For anybody with OCD, I apologize. It makes sense to be. I know that's not a great excuse. Here we go. Got the Worgen boss. And we're able to take him down without too much trouble. He does drop the Savage Gladiator boots. And unfortunately, nobody here can use them, so they become yet another shard. Oh, it's not the boots, it's the grips. My goodness. Still another good piece, but unfortunately nobody can use it. So I'm going to fast forward to our next pulls. I believe we go down to the Houndmaster, so we'll take a look at that, and that'll be the end of part 1. See you in a moment. Alright, these groups pretty standard. 1, 2 saps, kill 1, then so we take out the one unmarked, pardon me, then the next, and then the next. Rinse and repeat. There are a few groups here that you'll see with fire elementals, no problem. We'll show you a trick to pulling one of the patrols here in just a moment. Here we go, and we'll hit play. Get our sap down, take out the group. For some reason one of the saps expired. That happened to us a couple times. Saps were working most of the time in this dungeon, but we had quite a few odd breaks. Now while we're getting ready for this next group, I believe Sam gets a little too close and we aggro everything. Obviously she's not doing that on purpose, it's just a habit to see what's next. Here they're going in for the sap, and they see Sam. go ahead and grab all the aggro. Take out the fire first here. They're the most dangerous in these groups. Try and focus on the dwarves. So I'm watching, what I'm watching right here, let me pause this. I'm watching this group in the back is the tank. I'm watching for patrols especially, and this patrol is the one I'm going for. I'm going to try to run down here and pull when they are in between these two groups. So right when they're in the middle is the ideal time to pull this dog group. See if I'm successful. I don't quite recall. Go, and we wait. And success. We're able to get those dogs without too much trouble. That isn't just to Turtle WoW, that is also useful in Retail Classic. Two saps down to take this group out. If you're doing the Marshal Windsor escort, that door behind these dwarves is one of them that he needs to go to. When we do that quest, which we haven't done yet, I will try to record it, kind of do a mini guide similar to what we're doing for BRD here, but it'll just be for that escort quest. Alright, I am going to fast forward to the dog boss and describe a couple of the differences between Classic and Turtle. I say Classic, I still mean Retail Classic, I apologize. But yeah, let's go ahead and fast forward, and I'll see you in just a moment. Alright, we are just outside the Houndmaster's room, and I wanted to talk about this pull, which I definitely recommend doing before you start pulling in the Houndmaster's room. We have our 4 dwarves here. We're going to get 3 saps down to take out one at a time. What I would watch out for is the dog patrol that patrols here. They can sneak up on you while you're fighting in the room over here. Be aware of that. Additionally, there's a dwarf that patrols from this group to a group further up the hall here. While you're fighting this group, sometimes he can come back and sneak up on you, and then if he's too close to this other group, they will all end up coming. So, just a word of warning, watch out for that. We'll show you how we handle those dogs here in just a moment. Got our saps down. The rogues are just gonna take them out. Piece of cake. So, see, my camera was not tilted up to watch the hallway, which it should have been. The rogues were able to distract those dogs. I'm gonna pull them while we still have the other 2 mobs sapped. So we still have our crowd control up on those dwarves. It should be breaking here soon. You'll see the sap timer in the bottom right. It's going to be going off. And then we'll just pick up those dwarves. But thankfully, we are able to leave them sapped as long as possible in order to have the least amount of damage incoming on the party. We could focus our DPS on the fewer targets so that they die faster. Even Sam's getting a cheeky Mind Flayer too in there. Alright, let me fast forward to the boss pull. Alright, let's break down this pull real quick. So we have a group of dogs over here. I'm going to circle all that will pull together. Then we have a group of dogs over here. And in Classic Retail, the boss would be patrolling in between these 2 groups. Right, that's where the boss is going. Oh, look at this drawing. Oh my goodness, yes. So he would be patrolling back and forth, and if you pulled them at the wrong time, you'd end up pulling both groups of dogs. And that'd be bad news. Right? Usually it's group wide, because the tank could not hold threat on everything, the healer dies, and it gets progressively worse from there. However, in Turtle WoW, erase that, we don't have to worry about that, because the boss always, at least in the 3 or 4 runs I've done, sits in this group. And they do not pull together at all. So these groups in Turtle WoW are not linked, so you can safely pull this group, is the one I recommend first. Conversely, you could also just pull this group for the boss. But since we're here for XP as well, we're going to pull both groups. You're going to see me Moonfire, X, pull them back. I pull them back quite a ways. It also lets the rogues gank one in between so they can jump one and take it out on the way back. And then I don't have to swipe as many mobs. Yeah, let's take a look. See how that goes. I tried to Moonfire there and failed. That's why I had to run back again. Don't forget about Thorns, which I forget a lot. Here we go. Pretty easy tank and spank. Nothing too special. There we go. And get ready for the next group. We're going to do the same thing for the next group, except the boss will be killed last. We'll focus on the dogs and then take out the boss. Fast forward to that real quick. All right, here we go. Jaxil's going to mark the boss, and then we're just going to pull and take out the dogs. Not going to mark the boss, he marks a dog. That's right. Here we go. Got a couple of dogs marked. Don't have the boss marked. I would usually recommend having the boss marked, but not a huge deal here. We all understand the fight. So you can see the boss on the left there as we're taking out the dogs. Just trying to keep a swipe up on as many different dogs as possible. And the boss, so I keep as much threat on him as possible. The last thing I want is for one of Sam's heals to get healing threat, and she would go down pretty fast if he was hitting her. So that's the Houndmaster, and some of the trickier pulls getting to him. This will do it for part 1 of our Blackrock Depths guide. In part 2, we'll cover Pyromancer Loregrain to Phineas Darkfire.